Yo, what up, UMU? It's me, Blackjack, the creator of Us Mentoring Us. Thank you for tuning in to yet another amazing segment that we got outlined for y'all today. All of the views and opinions expressed here today are our own personal views and opinions and do not represent the Air Force or any DoD organization. Introduce to you all our admin team, who work very hard behind the scenes pushing all the content that you see on the page. Admin team, where y'all at? Chime in.
What up, UMU? It's your girl, Tony Renee. You could be anywhere in the world or in the meta, as we now know it, but you're not. You're here with us. We appreciate that. Let's go.
Yo, what's up, UMU? It's your boy, Matt. Make sure y'all pull up.
Yo, what up, UMU? This is Jay Will.
What up, UMU? It's your boy Yancey. You already know what it is. Let's get to it.
What's up, UMU? You already know it's your girl Key, and I'm all about bringing you the knowledge that empowers you. So let's go.
Yo, what's up, UMU? Sorry for the 15-minute delay, but without further ado, we're going to start off this week's Hot Topics. Please enable StreamYard, and I would like to introduce to the rest of the panel. Baltimore City Public Schools definitely didn't teach me the technicalities, and we really appreciate Key. Without further ado, what up, team?
What up,
Y'all? What up?
Welcome to another episode of Hot Topics. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, like I said, welcome to another episode of Hot Topics. Today we're going to cover, our time at AFSA. Also, please make sure you enable StreamYard. So if you have any comments, you go ahead and put them up on the screen for you. What you got for them, Black?
Hey, as usual, we just come through to kind of bring you guys the real talk. We're going to talk a little bit about our experiences at the AFSA PES, how we prepare for some things we experienced down there, and the overall love and appreciation we show. So before we get into the rest of the show, I just want to take some time to kind of say thank you. Thank you again to all the page members that showed love, that enabled us to grow to a position where we could go down to the AFSA PES, and all the folks that came through and showed us love while we were down there. Hey, big thank you, big shout out, much respect to all of y'all.
What you got for him, Yancey?
Oh, nothing, man. Just want to say thanks. Thank you to everybody that came out to AFSA and was supporting us. A lot of love at the booth. Really humbling experience. So many people knowing who you was, and I ain't never met him before. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah, it was definitely big love down at the AFSA PES. It was definitely a humbling and surreal experience. I will say, got a couple of chills going down. When people say I appreciate you, whether or not we help them get through something or they learn something from our page, even if it was small. You had friends come up together. One friend knows about the page, one friend doesn't, and they sitting there vouching. Even got a big vouch from Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Bass at one point. So shout out to her as well. But without further ado, we're gonna go to our first question. All right, fellas, have y'all ever attended AFSA PES? If so, what was your experience? What were you expecting?
I'm gonna let Yancey go ahead and take that one first. Go ahead, Yancey.
I've never attended AFSA PES before. I've never been local before. I've never really tried to get TDY to flown out there. It was a dope experience, though. I think that was a really cool vibe. It felt more like a reunion than just like a little conference. Obviously, they got the meetings and stuff going down. We weren't really privy to all that stuff because we was mainly hanging out and holding down the booth. But just seeing so many people that I knew from the past, my 14-year career was pretty dope. So, yeah.
That's what's up. As far as for me, this would have been my third time attending the AFSA PAC, AFSA conference after AFSA PES. It's always a great experience. What I try to encourage folks to attend these types of conferences is because not only are you getting a lot of information fresh from the horse's mouth, these are key Air Force leaders, whether it's Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, or just wing numbered Air Force level leaders that are giving you that information straight from the source. But B, there's an awesome opportunity to network when you attend these things. You'd be surprised at the level of folks that are just sitting down, shooting the stuff, around a campfire or having a drink together and sharing some vital, critical information, and you can get plugged in. I can't even begin to tell you how many connections I've made from the several AFSA pairs that I've attended in the past. I always see people that are doing great things around the Air Force. I see people in my wing, in my unit, and it's just an awesome vibe to kind of network and get to know those people.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely my first one. Didn't know what to expect. Definitely wasn't my wheelhouse to where I was like, yeah, I want to go to an AFSA until invited. Shout out to Keith for putting everything together for us. Definitely was one of those things where I was like on the edge of it, but once I got there, felt the vibes, even from day one, getting there, setting up, people, meeting people you ain't seen in years. It definitely was one of those things to where, once I got that first feel, I'm definitely coming back next year. So, even seeing the team, huh?
Now, I was going to say, follow up to that. I got a question after you finish your statement, sir.
Yeah, even meeting the team, I don't know if anyone knows on the live that, and I keep re-emphasizing, this was the first time that us as a collective, all 6 admin team members came together and was able to host something. And I promise you it's going to be bigger and bigger as the time goes on. So AFSA is going to go out and head out to Dallas next year, followed up by Houston. But we'll get on more to that. What you had, Black?
My question to y'all is like, since this is your first experience with the AFSA conference, what are some things that you're going to use to encourage your members to attend this conference? Because sometimes across the force, when you tell people, hey, I want to send you to an Air Force conference, they're like, nah, I ain't trying to do all that. So what can you use based off your experience to encourage folks to attend these types of things?
Well, for me personally, like I would just say exactly what you said, the networking opportunities, and then also getting the information straight from the horse's mouth, right? When I got back to my unit on Monday, I had a couple of airmen ask me like, yo, what did you hear? What kind of news? What's coming down the pipeline and stuff? And I was able to give them like, yo, look, Chief Bass said this is not going to happen. This is what's possibly going to happen. Getting information from different command chiefs on where we're looking like we're going as a force. So just that alone, I think would be a big sell. But then even then, like my airmen are not the airmen that try to go out and like be Air Force. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with RF troops. Like it's a little bit different. They're more like maintenance troops where, they just want to do their job and head out.
Nothing wrong with that. We got a place for it.
I mean, it's not, but I feel like it's easy to push it when I can say that I've been there. I see what the vibes is like, and I can sell it on. Look, you're gonna be doing briefings and everything like that, but it's more to it because you'll be able to meet people that you would never have thought you'd be able to meet. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same sentiment. One, was an excellent networking opportunity. What I keep describing people that it felt like it was like an enlisted family reunion. It's just one of those things to where we all come together. They got events that you can do. After the family reunion activities, you go out and hang out with your homeboy. Get to know people. I've met so many people. Surpassed the AFSA booths that it was very unreal and humbling. And honestly, as we just got through the pandemic, you've met a lot of people online throughout that time, and seeing individuals that you had never met before is crazy because you see them online, you talk to them online. So when you see them in person, it's like you already knew each other,
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those things to where I'm like, hey, you got to get out there. It's literally you've literally found out that the Air Force is bigger than I don't want to say the little hole that you in because some people have larger bases and networking comes all the time, but definitely from a smaller standpoint, it's definitely one of those things that you want to go get the vibe. And it wasn't one of those. I mean, it wasn't like I don't want to say too blue, but it was
a little bit more laid back than you would anticipate.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't too blue. And shout out to Chief Pilot and Chief Scott for putting that on too.
Yeah, and to your point too, Matt, like you saying, like you get that perspective of it being like a lot big, the Air Force being a lot bigger. You also learn that it's a lot smaller too, because I saw homeboys out there that I was like, well, I ain't seen you in Mad Long. What you doing now? And now I know that they work in like staff division jobs on my Air Force wing, like 16th Air Force and stuff like that. So that type of stuff was pretty cool. You know what I mean?
I will say this was my first time attending it in a private capacity, because every other time I've been there was based on like my position as a in the PME world. But this is the first time attending it on a private capacity where I didn't wear the uniform, I didn't have to shave. It was a different experience, right? So it was unique in that aspect for me for this go around. All right, what you got for us, Matt?
Yeah, so the next question I gotta ask y'all: how did your previous AFSA experiences impact leading to this year's event? Me and Yancey, we discussed that this is our first one, but how I'll say that to us is, what you heard about AFSA, all the pictures that you've seen. That's what I mean by like your previous AFSA experience. Obviously, Black, you've already been to the conference. So how did those two things impact you coming up to the event?
I can't believe I'm about to admit this in this type of space, but I will say, right, the AFSA conferences for me has somewhat of an effect of almost rebluing me, because there's a lot of times, like you guys mentioned, you'll get tunnel vision because you're in your own units, you're in your own sections, you're dealing with your own issues. Then you go out and see the bigger and broader picture. You see what the Air Force is doing as a whole. You see how people are being innovative over here. You see how down to earth some of the key leaders you only see on like social media or on TV are, and you realize like this is pretty awesome. Like this gig that we have, I know the profession of arms. At the end of the day, our profession has some stigma behind it, right? Yeah, it's a little stricter than your most careers. We're held to a higher standard. We are 24/7, 365. But this thing that we do is pretty awesome, man. When you go to AFSA PAC, you kind of realize that like Air Force got some pretty awesome people. Air Force has some pretty awesome missions. And there's some pretty awesome people innovating some things for the future. So for me, it almost re-blues me in a sense. And I use that, like I said, to encourage people to go to these things, because trust me, if you've never been to an AFSA conference or any kind of conference, whether it's AFA or AFSA, the pictures you see in the video you see and all the selfies you're seeing online, that's only but a portion of what's really happening. Like the behind the scenes stuff, the networking, the information that you're getting, I'm telling you, it's only a small portion of it. Hey, I know, Dre. I'm sorry. The blue's coming out of me. The Air Force blue.
How you feel about that, yeah?
Oh, I mean, just like I said, that was my first time being there, but just like how I am, like I'm pretty laid back. I try to stay behind the scenes, low key, and being able to like connect with like people like Chief Woods and like Chief Scott and stuff like that. Like, it was next level, man. Like I didn't expect to see so many high-ranking people reach out to me first. Like, hey, how you doing? Everything you're doing on the page is amazing. I think everything y'all are doing is what we need, and just giving us praise. And I'm like, how are these people talking to me? Like, I'm just, I'm like me. I'm in my squadron. I'm in my group. I focus on my regular world, but everybody's seeing the impact that we doing with the page and just giving love. That was crazy to me, man.
It's crazy that you say that, Yance, because it was several times where I was sitting there at it, and Chief Kelly, shout out to Chief Kelly, showed big love. When they know you by name, they like, oh yeah, shout out to Chief Kelly.
I ain't even got my Coke with me. My Coke is on my desk.
Shout out Chief Kelly.
I put my Coke on my desk.
He like, hey man, where you going? I'm like, damn, Chief Kelly just, Chief Pilot coming up to the booth, bringing whatever she gotta bring. Hey, y'all guys need anything? Chief Woods, like them giving us the shout out and giving us the love. Chief Baz telling us to come on stage. It's like it was very, very humbling to where it's like that network, and to know you have the impact on people, not just at the top level, but the lower levels too, and all around, and everything in between is. I will say that event really made me feel like it's going to sound weird, but I need to do more because it's like people are now that people are watching. So
your little blue got polished too, huh? You got a little re-blue over there. Huh? I see.
I don't know about no bluing. I don't know about no bluing, sir. I don't like that word. It makes my head come out.
No. Hey, so I will say this though, man. One thing I'm never gonna get used to is Air Force leaders calling you on my screen name. I promise you, it's still weird to me. Like it's still weird to me.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, what up, Tony?
What up?
Hey.
Tell us how you talk about your AFSA experience.
Oh man. So I know I joke with you guys, but I'm gonna say it to you guys, to us, because we all family, right? But at first I was like, they probably think I'm Key. Like, how do people know who I am? Because I'm, behind the scenes. I don't do this camera at all. So getting the love, mine is
Hey.
at my desk. So receiving the love from everyone, from UMU, from just leaders in general, like it was a great experience. And it was humbling, like you guys said as well.
Tony, had you ever been to AFSA before?
I had not, but I actually watched it all the time on live. So because they always broadcast it on Facebook or some other platform. So I've always watched it live. So to be there in person was definitely a different experience. But like you guys said, we were more at the booth than in all of the different seminars. But just being there this time, I really did enjoy it. But no, never been in person before.
All right, so moving on. A lot of people ask, how did the UMU admin team prepare for the AFSA event? Now, I know it was a little bit chaotic, and like I can't keep shouting out enough. Kiana definitely kept us together. She was hoarding cats around here, asking for emails, finding out, when we coming in and things like that. So Yancy, how was your experience in preparing for the AFSA?
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I ain't prepared for nothing. I showed up and winged it, man.
Hey, my man, his prepare was getting a Yankee fitted, man. That was it.
That's right. Literally, I touched down. I went and bought my Yankee fitted, and then that was all I needed, man. Like that's all my plan was to just go with the flow, man. That's how I am with everything, bro. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna meet the admin team first time. I'm gonna try and make that connection in person, see what it's really like. Because we talk every day. Like people don't realize how much we talk. And to finally getting to meet y'all in person, I was like, all right, I got to check what the vibes is in person. The vibes was correct. You know what I mean? but as far as the booth go, like I just felt like I'll get there and go with the flow and, interact with the people when they want to interact with me. And if they don't want to interact with me, I'll let other people interact. Or as I said, people in, you know what I mean? I had a lot of people in while I was down there.
How did you prepare, Tony?
So pretty much the same. I did not prepare. I was, in that boat where I was waiting on whether my unit was going, help provide to be able to make the trip. But so, I waited until the last minute. And then I was still up in the air because, as you guys know, it was my birthday.
It's my birthday.
So I also didn't know if I wanted to go. But I also didn't know if I wanted to go to the conference, but at the same time, it was my first time being there and being able to meet the team. I was like, I have to go. But preparing, like you said, Key, she really did the groundwork for everything. So it was kind of easy for us to just transition to getting on the plane and being there.
How about you, Black? How did you prepare? I know this is like your 10th time. You the veteran. No, so a lot of the folks on the page might not know this, but I wasn't about to go to the conference this year because I was deployed. I was anticipating me coming back from deployment.
TDY.
I was anticipating coming back from deployment.
Okay, Black, that's why I'm gonna stop you, sir. You were not deployed. You were definitely TDY. But go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna address it because you brought it up. This is like the 100th time y'all say that. No, sir. I was deployed. So we're gonna go. If y'all want to go there, we'll go there. So I definitely consider that a deployment because I'm away from my house.
Tax free.
Yeah, it was tax free.
There we go.
So I've been in the Air Force for a while. A lot of people that say that, they're like, "Yo, the deed is not a deployment." I've been to those deployments, and a lot of my peers don't come back the same. But I digress. I didn't prepare for it because I wasn't anticipating going out. I was supposed to come back from my deployment like the first week of August. So I didn't think I was going to come back in with enough time with a quick turnaround. But I ended up coming back a little earlier. So it was last minute for me. I want to say it was on my own dime. I want to say we got the room like 3 days before we flew down there. So it wasn't much preparing on my end.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point that I want to highlight here is like, if people don't know, half of us were funded by our units, half of us weren't. Some people stayed in Airbnbs. That's part of the conversation that has to be had. So, who booked the Airbnb? In the hood.
So I had
we're all from different backgrounds, so it's all good.
I didn't choose the Airbnb. I just booked it. I just want to say that.
So it's important to highlight. Some of us sought out from our units and got a unit funded. Some of us had to come out of pocket, but either way, the experience was great, nevertheless, and worth it. Me personally, I can't really say, I'm not one of the ones that had to come out of pocket. Shout out to those who did, because that really takes a different mindset and dedication to fund something that is funded by other people. But anyway,
but I would do it all over again. Next
course.
year, I mean, hopefully my unit funds me, wherever I'm at. Hopefully they do fund it, but I would definitely do it.
How funny is it to walk in there unfunded and see your command chief?
Who command chief?
So before my unit gets anybody says any nasty grams in my unit, it's not that they didn't want to fund me. Again, I didn't forecast this. I was gone. I didn't anticipate me being here at the time. If I would have told them that, hey, I plan on going to this, there would have been no issue. It's because I wasn't here.
All right, Mr. PME. So for those that don't know, just a little education. AFSA can be funded by your unit. You can fund it yourself. However, it is considered a permissive TDY, and you don't have to use leave because it is considered a professional development event. At all times, a lot of times, units come out the beginning of the fiscal year or right before it, ask you, hey, do you have any unfunded requests that you want to submit? Always, as senior leaders, to me, always put down AFSA in any type of professional development event. A lot of times you don't even have to put the exact name, just allocate funds towards those types of events, and your unit should be good to go with that.
And my unit did fund someone. It just wasn't me. And it was better anyway because it's lower ranking, right? So rather me come out of pocket than a lower ranking individual.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. So for those in key leadership positions where you have a voice in the room, a seat at the table, and you're talking about things like allocating funds for training, for professional development, please, AFSA, the conference is not just for senior leaders. It's not just for senior NCOs. It's not just for chiefs or whatever. Please send your airmen out there. Like, they're going to get a lot out of this early on in their career.
Message.
And there were a lot of airmen too. Mm-hmm. There were some airmen said, I didn't even put in for this. I just got an email saying I was going. And they really enjoyed it. So
plenty of people said that.
Do that for your troops.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because shout out to them supervisors that voluntold somebody, because it definitely was. You see, some supervisors were walking their troops around like it was a field trip. Honestly,
with their little backpacks on.
Definitely had the backpacks on, accompany. But shout out to them to bring their troops along with them so they can get that experience. See that it's not all just suit and tie type events. You actually mix and mingle. See other people that you don't know, your same tier, mix and mingle with them, and get some food in. Honestly, any TDY to me, I'm gonna get the foods in. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, in your opinion, what were some positive takeaways that you had from the AFSA event, as far as the UMU team? So, some things that you feel like we absolutely got right.
Man, I'll go ahead and start this one off, man. UMU as a platform, and I think we stand out amongst folks that do this because we've been so consistent throughout the years, and the quality of information we're putting out is still top tier. We may not have the numbers that some of the other pages, podcasts, whatever they have, but the quality of our content has stayed consistent throughout the year, and that's one of the things that a lot of leaders and folks that came to the booth echoed. That, hey, not only have we been around about the longest since 2018, but our content has continually been top tier. So I think that's one of the things we got right.
All right, so before we continue with this question, I want to get a question from the page. Shout out to Drea. So how are you going to push for Young and Enlisted next year to come to this event?
And that's too easy. I already allocated the funds for it. I already reached out to my senior leadership when I got back. Even though I am senior leadership, I was like, hey, we're setting aside funds for at least 5 people from my unit to go to this. And I told my folks that of that 5, 3 of them got to be junior enlisted folks.
Oh, y'all got money. 5.
I got a budget meeting next week, baby. I'm about to push that same thing. So. I
Tony?
can't hear you, Megan.
Oh, I'm gonna go with y'all answer. I'm
so Tony,
so I already voiced. Say what?
Go ahead, Tony. My bad.
I've already voiced, things when we were there at the conference about making sure, units had funding for members for next year.
And another thing, so although like units might have their own pot of funds, but the groups in the wing, they have pots of money set aside for this particular thing, specific thing. So if your unit can't fund it, reach out to their chief group at the group level or even the wing. They have pots of money set aside to send onesie twosies to these types of events.
Yeah, even your own private orgs. So be in touch with your private orgs. They can possibly, fund people to go to those events as well.
Yeah, because it's weird because I'm in Intel wing. NSA actually fund. We don't have unit funding, so we always have to go to the wing and ask for funding. But it's definitely one of those things that where you can reach out to, your senior leaders, your command chief, your wing commander, obviously through your chain of command, and ask them for that funding for types of events like this.
I think we got one more from the page, Matt. So, I think Chief Wesley asked a question about officers attending the AFSA conferences and how do we feel about that?
I saw a lot of officers while we were there. Like even I think I overheard Chief Bass saying like she was surprised about how many officers were in attendance for the event. I think it's a dope thing. I mean, I get it. It's tiered for the enlisted corps, but I mean, we have officers who are prior E, so I don't see an issue with them being there. You know what I mean? What's wrong with being keyed in and touched in with the way we going? So
I would say the same thing. I don't mind at all. I think the information is information. So if they're going to get the information and pass along, I'm cool with it as well. So fun fact about the AFA, a lot of people assume the AFA and the AFA conference was just for officers as well, but it's actually not. It's dual enlisted and officers. So I would encourage, especially the junior officers, right? Maybe not so much the senior officers unless they're coming there to speak, but the junior enlisted or the junior officers, I think that might be a good look for them. Like our lieutenants, our captains, or even our majors to go out there and kind of network, get some of that information and be in the know. Like it surprises me just how much you're in the know by attending these conferences. Like I said, you meet the right people, you're in the right circles, you get the right information. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I'm all about it as long as there's good intentions there. One thing I will say, as long as so say that officer got funded, but an enlisted person didn't come. That's the one thing the only thing that I would have a reserve for. But if a unit came and that officer came with a unit and they want to get that mixed in and learn from the enlisted corps, I think it's value added, honestly.
But if you think about one of the core responsibilities of senior NCOs is to kind of mentor, guide, and groom our CGOs, right, our young officer corps. So what better way to do that than to get them to kind of see our point of view, our perspective, and to kind of intermingle with us? I'm all cool with it. But like you said, I mean, I don't think the pot of money is going to be different. If they want to come, so be it. It's because these junior officers, CGOs, are going to be our commanders down the line, right? So if we can get them earlier on, kind of help them understand our perspective, how we move, why we make the choices and decisions we make, the better they're going to be when they're sitting that commander spot. So I'm all for it.
Facts, always value added. But back to our original question. My bad. In your opinion, what were some positive takeaways that us as a team completed throughout the AFSA? What you got, Yance?
My fault, I was muted. So on our end, I think this was a good trial run for how we gonna move a little bit next year. So we learned a lot. We got a lot of lessons learned from it. We know what we're gonna try to get done better next time. We know what kind of equipment we might need to invest in as a group. Try to source. So I think even the coverage will be a lot better next year. We were a little bit unprepared for what the moment was. I mean, we had help. People helped us out, but I feel like we need to be a little bit more self-dependent, if that makes sense. So,
well, personally, I don't think we were unprepared because you can't be prepared for some things that you don't know is going to happen. So I think it was definitely a excellent trial run. What are some things to where it's like, hey, could we have done it better? But you don't know what you don't know. Right. So how you feel about it, Tony? How do you think we did? What some good takeaways from this aspect?
So I know we got a lot of good feedback from the members that came through because we did do a couple of lives. Y'all had me on the camera for a little bit. And we were able to ask some of you guys, what were some of the things that we could do better as a whole, not even just at AFSA, but as UMU, things that we could do better. So I think it was overall a good take, even though, we did have some hiccups, but we definitely had a lot of positive takeaways.
So my apologies to Chief KC. We didn't get the candy. He came to our booth. Like some of the other booths had candy, had chocolates. He gave us some feedback and said, hey, we need to have some candies and some chocolates. And we didn't get none of that by the time before we left. So my apologies, Chief. We'll do better next time. But yeah, we're definitely a learning experience or an opportunity to grow. I like that.
Yeah,
but we had patches. Patches last longer than candy.
Definitely had patches.
Hey, shout out if you got a patch, comment down like the post.
Come on, we got two different. Whoa,
we do got two different patches.
Oh, that's a conversation after this.
I ain't got that second one. I don't like how you be out.
This is the first one. You got the second.
We just got one at the conference.
Me and you gonna have to square up. Like,
hey, look, man, it's not family time. All right, this public time.
So Dre put up a good point. Why just be AFSA? Maybe some other conferences. What are some conferences that y'all have heard of in the past or through other channels that y'all think we could go ahead and attend?
So while there's a lot of conferences the Air Force has, so the AFA conference is a little different. Like the appeal there, like the draw there is a little different. I've never been to an AFA conference, but I think the professional airman development, the professional development conference is more our wheelhouse because that's what we specialize in. The AFA is more like, from my understanding, is more like the leading edge of technology stuff. So they talk about the warfighting aspect, the airframes and such. So I don't think that's quite our niche.
Yeah. So while it doesn't, and this is a good convo to have, while it does not, meet what we do, it doesn't stop us from doing what we do, if that makes sense. Me personally, I'll be at the AFA because it's right down the street from where I live at this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and swing past there, don't check it out, take some pics, and get it back to the team.
But I can't.
Shout out to Drea. She held down the booth with us too. Showed much love. Shout out to you, Drea.
Drea definitely took a lot of us out of our shell and kind of made us mix and mingle. She was definitely the hype man for the trip, or hype one man, even though she's little, and we found out that she is a little person. But shout out to Drea.
Big personality.
And if you haven't too, Dre got an awesome book out. If you haven't had a chance to, go ahead and scoop that. I wish we had a link to provide, but I'm sure she'll put it in the comments. Shout out to Dre.
Shameless plug. All right, so what are some things that you think would improve our experience next year? What is some big key takeaways that you want to improve the experience next year?
Location.
I was gonna say
Part.
So you talking about like the location of our booth?
Of the booth.
Yeah. So I think if we were on the other side and closer to our podcast area, I think that'll improve the experience because on our side, although we had a great location right next to Air Force Gaming because they had a lot of stuff going on. Our
Yeah.
spot was cool, but the fact that our booth was around the corner and had us we had to do little runs. So I wish we had we were on the other side with the booth right next to us.
not to mention the pictures, man. Like that sun was killing us, bro.
We had the sun in the backdrop. Yeah,
fighting for our lives, boy. We was one of the booths that was getting the photos. Like everybody else was, they was getting traffic, but people wanted to take photos with us. So like somewhere a little bit nicer. No. And the same thing, like you said, with the whole podcaster thing. Like if we were closer, that definitely would have helped. So, but that's all. That's all. Like lessons learned for next year, man. That's what I was saying. That's the type of stuff we took away from it. So,
what you think? Some things that we need to improve on next year, Tony.
See what you just did.
I hear nothing else.
I said Tony.
Nah, but it's all good because I know what you meant. But things that I feel we could improve on, y'all kind of spoke on it, and then like you said with the equipment. So I know one of the things that we have been talking about on the side is maybe some type of sponsorship, something like that, because everything that we did, everything that we provided, the patches, the notebooks, the shirts, like we came out of our own pocket and we did all of that. So I think to make it bigger and better, to get some other people behind us, but there's ways to do that appropriately that fits us.
More to come on that. Like UMU, man, if you're watching this segment right here, stay tuned, man. We got a lot planned for next year, a lot, and one of those is going to be some way to get some partnerships so we can provide you a better experience with what we got going on. So stay tuned.
Facts. Looking forward to that 100%. One thing that was crazy during the AFSA experience is that we got questions. Particularly, I remember me, Black, J. Will, and Yancey were standing there, and someone came up to us and said, "Hey, fellas, if y'all could change one thing within 6 months, what would y'all change?" And that leads me to my next question. What would y'all change? Black, what would you change?
I should have researched the question and he's going to ask that because what I want to say, I don't know if I want to say it on a line, but hey, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and say it. What would I change in the Air Force?
In 6 months.
In 6 months?
In 6 months. So when I say 6 months, I'm not talking about acts of Congress.
I know. That's why I said I had to pause and rein back my answer and say something that I can change in the next 6 months. Anybody got something quick fire they're ready for? Let me take a pause on my conversation.
You got Yancey.
Oh shoot! Well, like I said, like mine is not 6 months worth either.
I'll tell you what mine is, just so y'all can get yourselves together.
The beard.
Clean
face McCoy.
So if y'all don't know, yes, I was sporting a very healthy beard after being on leave for
Ross
21 days. But the one thing being a personnelist that I would change that we get a lot of slack for would be mail outs. So if you don't know, say you PCS and you get a joint departmental medal, the personnelist has to literally put it in a package, mail it off, pay postage and handling, and send it off instead of just sending it in an email, which is how we mostly get everything electronic now. But that's the one thing that I would change because that works for evaluations, decorations, retentions documents, all that. So if I had to change one thing in 6 months, which I think this is not an act of Congress, would be to eliminate the NPF having to mail out personnel documents. Did that jog y'all brain to think of something?
So like I said, like all mine, so I posted the same question on my personal page. to kind of like source stuff from my friends and stuff. But everything that everybody suggested, I feel like it's like a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit longer than 6 months to get done. You know what I mean? One good one that I got from a homeboy was so the melding of TA and Air Force Cool. Like he doesn't understand why Air Force Cool has that $4,500 cap. That's it. That's all you get. Especially in the comm world where like bachelors and masters are cool, whatever, but that's not what gets you paid. It's the certs. And $4,500 towards certs will only get you so much. You know what I mean? Like his job, he doesn't want to get a master. He wants to get certs. So if they could somehow figure out a way to meld that together, where you know what I mean, they got a fiscal cap every year, and they can go get certs every year with that, that would be something that people would like to see.
Tony, what you got?
You go.
I already went.
Black.
I'm waiting. I'm still thinking. My gear's still turning. Like mine is a long lead.
And obviously, I got like 30 beards. You know what I mean in my comments. But
so it would be wrong for me to not mention some things that Jay Will brought up along the realm of personnel stuff. Jay Will said he would move the ability to go supplemental consideration for promotion down to the squadron commanders. However, the process, I understand the intent, but there's always, guidance and things like that, that second and third order effects that goes with supplemental. But Jay Will was supposed to be on here to argue with me about this, but obviously is not. Does anyone that want to take his stance, or shall we continue?
Keep it moving, dog. Keep it moving.
Yeah, I got my one. I'm gonna give a little love to my special duty folks, my DSD folks. So this wouldn't take an act of Congress. It wouldn't change anything, and it's something that can be changed with just a signature. If you allow the folks that are in DSD positions their last year within the DSD to compete for promotion in their career field.
That's actually a thing that might be considered very soon. Now, I can't remember if it was the reverse. From what I understand, it may be reversed to where the last year that they're. So, say I go into DSD now, and don't you know how it's like by SCOD? What is your AFSA by SCOD? It might allow you to do it one more year, consideration in your previous career field.
Yeah, on the front end instead of on the back end.
Yeah, it was on the front end instead of the back end. I did hear something about that.
No, I'd rather the back end. The front end is just I'd rather the back end.
So
because you think about that on the front end, you're gonna have a DSD EPR for the most part. Like, and it's an early so for example, let's say you want to be a shirt, right? So your first year as a shirt, it's a lot of learning. So that learning and growing EPR is going to be what you're going to use to compete in your career field, as opposed to the end of your tour, right, where you've experienced, you've probably done some things, your record should reflect whether you were successful or mediocre in that DSD, and you get to compete back in your career field. So I think, me personally, I'd rather on the back end.
Rather on the back end.
Yeah. So you're in a learning capacity. At the most part, like you're not going to have much of shit on your first EPR.
So in the DSD world. Question from Drea. Question is, y'all gathered the information. Will this get to someone for consideration? Yes. Yeah. Short answer.
That's why we're gathering it.
So we didn't want to go ahead and spill all the beans, because sometimes that gets people to a whole other place when we needed them to just be down here within the 6 months. But yes, the question was posed to us via Chief Master Sergeant Air Force Bass to get a quick change within 6 months and gather some data and see what people were thinking. Another thing that my page had thought about was it was two of them where it was getting rid of those. You know how you can do the 6 years and you get A1C after graduation from tech school. They were saying do that instead of making people stay in the grade one more year, if that makes sense. So they was like, hey, this recent change to promotion where you have to stay in grade one more year, we can nullify that if we just get rid of that after 6 years, you get A1C, because people will then be in that airman tier for a little bit longer period of time.
That makes sense.
What were you going to say, Black? My bad.
It's pretty much us gathering this information is us to try to collect it and give the people what they want for the most part, right? So it's sometimes when you're in a leadership position, you think you know what the people want, but it's awesome to see people in leadership positions such as those that are willing to reach back and ask the people what they want. So this is your opportunity, folks. So if you're on the page and you're commenting on this post, this is your opportunity to impact some real change. Like one of your suggestions could be something that gets implemented Air Force wide in a few months, a few weeks. So go back to that post, read it, tell us something that you want. It's not me. It's no longer going to be my Air Force. I have a lot less time left in than I've had in. So it's going to be, for the most part, you guys' Air Force.
Yeah. Another one I got, just quick. I don't know how easy of a kill it would be, but I got a lot of friends who were saying that they would like to see a little bit more transparency and a little bit more E to O opportunity. They think that that was asked in Chief Bass's outbrief. Yep, but I feel like that's another one that they could probably take a look at. Like, we're losing a lot of talent, or not picking a lot of talent from the enlisted corps, just because the acceptance rate is so low. And then also with the shift in promotion, I feel like a lot of people are going to probably try to go that route even more, which will make it even more competitive, and a lot of good people will be getting overlooked. So that's another thing that I got from my peers.
And I think the leave one was a good one as well, man. People said, like, why are we burning leave on weekends? That makes so much sense to me. Like, and I get it.
Bereavement leave too. Bereavement
leave as well. Yeah. But like, if I take leave for 2 weeks and why am I taking 4 days that I don't need to burn? I can understand, like, there should be a process where, hey, you take that leave and you're still considered on leave during that weekend time for just in case something happens or whatever. But when you come back and you sign back in from leave, the system should automatically retract those weekend days.
So leave is Congress, but
I know, and I know that's not.
So
I know it's gonna take a while.
Something I do want to say, because Black did reiterate that, please, if you're seeing this live, please go back on. Please comment, tell us what you would want. But I do want to reemphasize, these are things that can be changed within 6 months. So, example, certain things that will change within 6 months: hair color, length and stuff like that. Can be changed in six months. If it's a very lengthy situation, then we may not be able to fit it into that category. Now, this information is due by Friday, so please take time over the next 2 days to go ahead and fill up that post that Black is referencing, and make sure you go ahead and submit your ideas so that we can get them looked at.
Men with locks, let's do it.
Boy, you know what?
Not gonna happen. So my next question, huh?
Go ahead.
So go ahead, Black. No, because
I was getting ready to say, if they let us do locks, man, I'll stay as long as the Air Force will let me stay. If I can go lock, I don't even need a beard. Let me get the locks.
You can't. Well, first of all, you can't grow a beard, but that's a different story. So my next question.
I had a beard at the pack, bro. It was decent. All right, it was decent.
All right. Okay, for a 7-year-old, but for the next question, I'm gonna put both of y'all on the spot. It's gonna be on the spot. I'm not even gonna bring the question up. Putting y'all on the spot.
Black going first.
All right, those goes. Black. So we spent a considerable time at the AFSA PAC, right? AFSA PAC 5 days. Who did you see and was most excited to see and meet at the AFSA PAC?
Who did I see that I was most excited to see or meet? Damn, you put me on the spot because there's a lot of people I was excited to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I only want one.
All right, cool. I'm gonna say so. The only person that I've yet to meet on the team was Yancey. So I'm gonna say Yancey. Because I met all of y'all already. I've met Matt.
Wow, wait a second.
That's the easy one. Hey, you gonna put me in the spot like that? I can't be calling people out like that now. So it's Yancey.
I ain't gonna cap. That was gonna be my answer.
That was gonna be my answer.
You ain't gonna do me like that. You ain't gonna do me like that.
It was y'all, bro.
The team, me. I was excited to see.
Okay,
J-Will
so I
was with
changed my
us.
question. Outside of the UMU admin team, who are you the most excited to see? Tony, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who are you the most excited to see?
Who was I? Sheesh. Who did I think was gonna be there first?
Yancy. Somebody give me one.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. I would probably
Chief.
go.
Oh, I got my answer.
Go ahead.
Chief Pollard.
See, that was gonna be my answer. You can't say
That was
my
gonna be mine. That was gonna be mine.
Chief Pollard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chief Pollard get to pay so much love. I
A lot
was
of energy.
really happy
Yeah.
to finally have met her in person, and her spirit and everything is so great. So I was really happy to finally met her in person. So yeah.
And she's
Shout
so
out to Chief
genuine,
Pollard.
like legit. Like, yeah, Chief Pollard was one of my favorite people, even though that's the first time I ever met her. So yeah, I would say Chief Pollard.
So y'all
And
all
second-
want to get Chief Pollard?
If I had to say a second person, I would say retired Chief Master Sergeant K. Wright. I love that dude, man.
That's your boy. We know. So I'll tell y'all who mine was. And it's funny because I didn't meet this person at the actual AFSA. I got the chance to sit and have breakfast with this individual. It's going to be Chief Master Sergeant Shakisha Perkins. Why? Because she while she wasn't at the AFSA, didn't come by the booth or anything, she's a tremendous supporter of us behind the scenes. So if people don't know, Chief Perkins did work with the assignments team at AFPC. So we would get a lot of questions where people were in situations where they, whether it was having a humanitarian situation, hey, they put in a BOP, the BOP wasn't answered. She was literally behind the scenes, hitting these people up, making sure they were good to go. And she was never in the forefront or never like the limelight. So shout out to Chief Perkins, who is retiring very soon. But yeah, that would be, got to meet her for the first time. She always was in the comments. She always hit up people behind the scenes you would never know it. And that to me, that's what this is about, honestly.
Fair.
So go ahead, Tony. What you about to say?
So my second favorite person is a collective. So not us on the admin team, but us as a collective, UMU. So I'm gonna steal this from J-Will because I know if he was here, he would tell this story. But I know you guys mentioned it before with people coming up to the booth and having one or another person with them. They weren't aware of what the group was. But J-Will was standing up there telling the group it was a master sergeant, maybe a staff or a tech,
airmen.
and some airmen.
It's two airmen.
And he was telling them, about UMU, why they should join the page and all the things that we do. And guess who walks up to the booth? Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Bass. And she's like, UMU, y'all need to get on the page. Da, 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 da. And it was like, mic drop. Like nothing else needs to be said. Like she said it all right there. If you don't join now because of Chief Bass coming up to the booth and letting you know, then, what more can we say? And there were a lot of chiefs and other just members, master sergeants, ICOs that came and did that. And I absolutely loved every bit of it. So y'all were my favorites.
If I got to add another person, I'm going to shout out Senior Master Sergeant Amani Phillips. Met her.
Oh, yes.
New Yorker. Super impressive. She was great. I'm really glad I got to meet her.
She was.
So, yeah. So
shout out to Senior Phillips.
So to wrap it up, with a quick fire, stealing from I'm gonna steal J-Will Thunder a little bit with a quick fire. So I'm gonna ask y'all, when I point to you and I say your name, you gotta come up with whatever I ask you. All right. So first, Tony, your favorite moment of AFSA, go.
I want to say, are we going to announce this to the group with the book?
Black?
We'll pause till we know.
Okay.
All right, next.
So somebody else go, because that was my favorite
All
part.
right, Yancy, what's your favorite moment?
Are we talking AFSA or just the whole trip?
Anything that whole week.
Me being the only person that ever showed up anywhere on time.
But bro, this is not family time, bro. It's like people watching this.
And killing y'all in the chat for it.
Come on, man.
Would y'all have ever? Well, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be late, but I didn't think I was gonna be the one causing people not to be on time. But okay.
All right, Black.
The same question, or we get a different question?
No, same question. Favorite moment.
My favorite moment. I think my favorite moment was it was two airmen that came to the booth, and they didn't necessarily know what we had going on. And as we started, it was an airman and a chief master sergeant. They never heard of the page, and were two females. As we started talking about what the page was about and what we got going on, you can see the excitement in their eyes, and they like the light bulb was going off, and they became excited in that brief instant about the page, and they have never known anything about it before. So that was my favorite moment.
My favorite moment was when a guy was going across the street, and I helped him very briefly across the street, and he was good to go.
Bro, that was not. If this is family time, I think this is gonna be family time. That's not how that story went, bro. That's not how it went at all. But I'm gonna let you live.
So,
I'm gonna go back. Hold on. I'm gonna circle back since I couldn't share what my favorite was. My second one. It's gonna shout out you and Chief Master Sergeant Wesley. The love that everyone gets on this page, the admin team, to witness someone look you straight in the eyes and just tell you how much they appreciate everything that you do for not only the page, but for the Air Force as a whole. That love that Chief Wesley gave you, I was like, you're going to cry. But he didn't cry. He held it in, y'all. But I know he cried on the inside.
He cried in the car. He cried in the car.
Yes.
Okay, so
that was a little bit of
transparency. Chief Wesley gave me a lot of love, and it was a surreal moment to have a career personnel chief speak those words into me. And Tony definitely looked back at me because I definitely almost shed a thug tear.
Not a thug tear.
Thug tear. Shout out to Chief Wesley. If you're still on, we really appreciate you. Really appreciate your support. But to wrap it up, we really appreciate everyone that stopped by the booth. Tony, you got any closing words?
No, just we love you guys for being here with us every day. We love the support. Thank you, and we can't wait to see what else you guys have in store for us.
What you got, Yance?
Just want to say thank y'all to everybody that came through the booth. Thank you to everybody who's a member of the page who brings something positive. And you know how I always say, be the change. Know what I mean? Be the change.
What you got, Black?
Hey, man, first and foremost, thank everybody that continues to pour into us as we do this thing here. Second thing is, stay tuned, man. We got a lot of big things planned for next year and the rest of this year. So stay tuned, plug in, bring a friend. Let's continue to grow together.
I can't say this enough. We really appreciate everyone on the page. Anybody that's sat on this live for an hour and said kick back, understood that, the trial run that we went through AFSA, because it's only going to get bigger from here. If you were there this year, we really appreciate you. Stopped through, got a patch, followed us, got on the YouTube, whatever it may have been throughout this past week. We really appreciate any type of support that you show throughout the page. Please make sure that you get this information that you soak in through our page and get it out to those to the left of you, to the right of you, up and down, wherever it may be. But without further ado, I really appreciate everyone. Not to keep saying it again, but love y'all. We out.